Judges? Is someone chomping at the bit? Claire,
Yeah,
please.
I have a question. Could you talk more about this one character, one theme per episode? And is that going to be the structure of the series?
So right now we've written, basically outlined up to episode 10, which we think will be the first season. So the first season is about 10 episodes. The first episode, which you can see in a few hours, is mostly features that girl Autumn. So she kind of sets the stage for the rest of the story. And then throughout the next few episodes, we'll be like unlocking new characters you can meet, and they'll be revealing, different story arcs throughout the season. Like, they'll introduce new themes, they'll bring up new questions, and then in the next story, we might answer one question and pose a few more. I'm kind of thinking it's kind of like Lost, where every time you watch an episode, you have an answer to one thing, but more questions to other things. It's a really complicated issue, what's going on in Japan, so we thought that was the best way to portray what's going on.
So each episode is how many minutes then?
We're aiming for 3 to 4 minutes to match the attention span of people on the internet.
I know, sad but true.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Any other ideas that this particular pitch sparked in terms of things that you might have seen, mistakes other people might have made, organizations that that Lisa could connect with, other things that she may want to do next to strengthen what she's got going on? Before I move to the audience.
Well, I just want to say I really, really enjoyed looking at what has happened, the devastation of the earthquake through a specific community, and it's something we never really see, and that it's so different in a way from what's been on the news. Seeing like the first anniversary all over CNN, it was really weird and discombobulated. So it was really refreshing to see this. And I guess my only other question is like, will this sort of go, infinitely, or how, in a way it's sort of current affairs because it charts what they're doing, this group of activists. On the other hand, it really is a great document to, how the reconstruction is taking place. So
Yeah.
the continuity of it.
So part of the reason we were going to do a feature, but then we decided it's much better online because we can continue it. We get stuff out faster, but we also can continue to document their lives. So these guys obviously just had their anniversary, and they had their own ceremony, and they did a lot to prepare for it, and they've been filming it. So we'll be getting that footage, and as long as we can keep funding the project, we can continue to roll that out.
Okay.
But even if we don't get funded, like, we're really connected with them. Like, I talk to them on Facebook all the time, and so we will be able to continue to support this community and tell their story. It's just if we wouldn't be able to do it with the professional editors and sound designers that we're hiring now, unless it's not funded.
Doing it in this format really makes it feel like a living, breathing documentary that, in a feature documentary you would close the chapter when the credits roll, but like it does feel like it, it can constantly inform itself and with the audience and everything like that. I'm curious, is the idea that people will be like, oh, that was a really great episode, I want to see the next one, so I need to put in some more money to make that happen? Is that the idea?
Well, hopefully it won't be that staccato. I would hopefully, at some point, we'll get a sponsor, or, we get funding from some that's more than $3,500 at a time. But yeah, we do want to have a cliffhanger at the end of each episode that makes people want to engage and, join the Facebook page and maybe donate some money and just keep following. And we're also going to be unlocking different features on the website as, we evolve. So that's another thing that we want to use as a hook for people to stay engaged.
Great. So how about you guys? Is it too much pressure as an audience to think that you have to keep funding a documentary in order to see it? Or is that something that you feel like you might be able to participate in?
I think under this context, this is perfectly acceptable to continue to fund because there is a really strong cause behind it, and this is also a story that's been overlooked because a lot of times we have what's called flash activism or flash advocacy, and so after the earthquake, of course, everybody's like, oh, and reacting, but it's in the long-term recovery process that we're not reacting properly, and I think this documentary will help in that regard. My big question, of course, is how much interactivity is going to be expected from us, and what other funding besides funding for the documentary will be integrated into the whole process, especially for long-term recovery funding. Is there any plans for that? I really didn't get that part, but I think it's beautiful. So.
Okay, I'm
So
going to
what do you
answer
think?
the funding question first. As a person who's done journalism for a while, I really believe it, like, telling a good story has a value that in many ways is much more important than giving millions to the Red Cross right after the earthquake when you don't know where it's going. Like, we're giving these people a voice, but also, well, one thing is definitely at some point if these people say like, hey, it's so great that this is everywhere and we really need money to like build this thing, we would totally streamline our funding there. The other thing though is that when we were there and through talking to these people, what we realized is they don't want people to just give them handouts. They want people to recognize that they're doing their very best to empower themselves to, they're having to take on new jobs, right? They can't fish anymore, so now they're learning how to, they just found out that the seaweed there, and this is a total kind of spoiler thing that we're not going to reveal yet, so don't tell the world, but they found out the seaweed that's found in Motoyoshi is totally safe from radiation. So now they're all learning how to become seaweed marketers. Right, and so they're entrepreneurial. They're learning this for the first time. They're generations of fishermen that are learning how to be entrepreneurial. So we need to support that by showcasing what they're doing and empowering them. I think more than just giving them money, but I think both options are available. In terms of interactivity with the audience, you guys aren't expected to do anything except like our Facebook page, go to our landing page every once in a while,
And give
it's
money.
nice.
And give money.
And give money, or introduce us to people who can give money. But yeah, I mean, there will be stuff up there where you'll see like, oh look, hey, like Kondo-san, like the guy with the beard just posted something, and so, it doesn't have to be in real time. It won't always be in real time. Yeah.
Thank you. We have time for one more if there is one.
I just wanted to make one comment.
Please.
It occurred to me that when we were watching the piece, and I thought it was beautiful, and I love how I think it's a perfect, like he said, way to use the documentary form, and the idea of doing these episodic segments I think is great. And but I felt like you needed to identify those people as characters because the subject is great, but even Autumn, who are they, and a little more maybe about the active, I felt like just a little more info on what they're doing exactly. I mean, I understood basically the context, but I thought that could be good. And also I was thinking that thematically, one of the things that could drive people to come back for this episodic form is the idea of, I wrote down the phrase, how do you know what's safe? Because I think that's something that everyone can relate to, because in this world, you're like, am I supposed to eat this or that? And that's something that's so extreme and acute there, that could also have this almost genre, what are they going to discover next? And that could be something that you really develop and actually market it in that way too. So.
Yeah, that's a really good point about the how do you know what's safe being a really important issue. In terms of introducing the characters, I think we deliberately didn't do that in the teaser, because and then in episode 1, you'll learn all about Autumn and who she is, and then episode 2 you'll meet somebody else.
Right.
Well, let's thank Lisa. That was awesome. Thank you so much.